Hello, everybody. It is your Professor Rocco, your boy, coming at you again one more time with another Age of Sigmar video. In this Age of Sigmar general class, you're going to hear a fan in the background because my neighbors are so loud at the time of recording. I need a little white noise to try to protect my own microphone. But we're going to be handling deployment. As you can see, I've actually already deployed a Deepkin army here on the board. This is my standard deployment, based off of actually our old video where everything was very evenly spaced. And the reason we're covering deployment again is in 3.0, we got to have an honest talk here, all right? If you played second edition, you're used to having 24 inches generally between you and your opponent. Fighting didn't really happen until battle round 2. The important fighting didn't really happen until battle round 3 if everything was going good for both players. Now everybody's closer. Objective scoring is generally different. We're going to go and zoom in onto what this particular battle plan is here. And yes, I'm on TTS. Sue me. So we are on Power Struggle. Yeah, make that joke one more time, Rocco. That's what GW will do. We're on Power Struggle here. 5 objectives. The way scoring works here is you score 1 victory point if you have controlled at least 1 objective for 2 of your personal turns consecutively. So it's not like 2 individual player turns. It's not like my opponent went first, that's a turn, then I go, that's a turn. No, I need to have 2 of my own turns controlling it. I score a victory point for having controlled 2 or more objectives consecutively. And then I score another one for having just more objectives than my opponent. And then I get 2 for my battle tactic, which is why they're so important. Now, looking back at this, there are 5 objectives. We're playing in Gur, so you know battle round 3, one of these is blowing up somewhere. I never want to play for more than 3 objectives at any given moment anyway, and they're all near each other. And as a Deepkin player in this particular type of build, sharks, defensive eels, the turtle, got a Volturnos here, I've got some thralls to die or monster hunt or horde clear, whatever I need. This is a no more star list. Actually, this is Futan, so everybody is, that is a mount, is rerolling 1s to wound. We've got the Eidolon here to make generally everyone that wounds on 3s wound on 2s. Life's good. We're very aggressive. By doing this kind of a deployment here, we're going to talk about a couple of things and walk you through it. I'm very centralized in the board. In my list building, I've built a lot of threats. I've got a turtle here, great melee threat. The thralls are a threat. Pretty much anybody not a bird, these aether wings, or an eel, and this foot hero, which isn't really the general for Lord of Storm and Sea. I just grabbed this model really quickly. They're all melee threats. Okay? Even the single Alapex, they're all harpooned up if you're wondering, because a lot of the meta is Gotrex and Marathis by me and Teclises. They're things that I need to at least start peppering at range. Even if I run into a lot of opponents that have, say, a unit of 20 Sentinels. If I can shoot and take off 5 or 6, and a lot of my stuff will be like 3s to hit, rerolling 1s. I can very easily make it a 2, because the 3 is the base to hit. Rerolling 1s because of the king, wounding on a 2 because of the Eidolon of the storm there. It's very reliable for me with this long-range shooting to whittle down problem units my opponent's going to bring to me. Whether it's Sentinels, whether it's a bunch of Iron Drakes. If there's something that I'm worried about that could have a wonderful unleash hell on me, I need to have something to deal with that. Or if I need to fight a Marathi, I'd rather do it from distance. So we're not trading out like my turtle for me to do 3 wounds to Marathi. So having a deployment setup like this, to bring it back to the topic here, because students, dear students, I keep getting questions about deployment and how do I deploy, what do I do? This is my standard, hey, this is my deployment. It is an even balanced deployment. It is all my main threats of the turtle, the Alapexes, and the Eidolon are in the middle. I can play to either side. They can respond to whatever. Their big buff pieces in Volturnos and the Eidolon here are with them. My Tidecaster is just screening. Right, we go left to right here. The Shark is actually screening out this whole board edge, and it's a big enough threat. If my opponent goes for it, great. My whole goal is to actually go up the right side of the board or the left, depending on what I need. I'm a bit more right heavy here, I guess, because of the thralls. But like this side of the board is screened out because of cheap Aether Wings. They've got multiple layers of screens with these Aether Wings and these Ishlean Guard. If they want to come this side for the turtle, that's great. I've got Unleash Hells here because the Leviathan can shoot. I've got Redeploy to Unleash Hell with the Alapexes. I've got layers of stuff here because my threats are center of the board. And, you know, anyone that's mounted flies, and then the birds fly. So I'm very mobile. In this situation here, if I am given the turn, or if I take the turn, what do? Fly these birds up. I run them to get around the building. I automatically hold more. I'll do an easy battle tactic to score. Maybe the one where I have a monster on an objective that isn't contested by another monster while I still have my turtle alive, Shelly. Easy scoring. There's my points for the round. And then I just sit on these back two objectives at least while my opponent and I trade the middle. And then from there, again, Deepkin are a fast army, and I'm deployed to take advantage of that. That's why my stuff is backboarded as far as it is. But like still, the turtle can move 10 inches and shoot 24 inches. That was 9 inches there. So looking at this power projection that this one turtle has, it's fantastic. So I can afford to play a little bit back and screen my important stuff. Also, with the turtle being a 2-up safe base, she'll be okay. Now, another deployment strategy here is, again, we're always never going to try to play for every objective on the board. I'm not going to try to stretch myself thin to say these guys go here. I want this shark to go the long way. These guys go over here. That is a horrible idea because I do not have the bodies. I think that I have maybe 30 models in this list. I don't have the bodies to do that. I have the movement instead. But what I'd want to do here as another idea, if I'm seeing my opponent is going strong, let's say on my left flank, they're right. My opponent's going heavy here. There's the Marathis. There's a bunch of Witch Elves. You know, whatever your deepest nightmare is your opponent's bringing, hard on one side. Okay, that's cool. All this stuff shifts over. You know, theatrics aside there, we play to their weak side. You know, so these eels probably go a bit more in the middle. Aetherwing stays over there. We're still screened. Everything's still screened. Our power pairs are still together. Everyone that can get buffed from the king and the Eidolon that's important are there. You know what we probably do as that fan gets louder? You know, thralls move up a little bit more. These eels, as comical as it was there, are going to be up here to actually take the brunt of any damage while supported by, you know, 1,700 points of my army. I could screen all this out 9 inches away if someone's deep striking. They can't come in there. You know, you got to come up over here. And you're going to be out of place. One shark, which is funny, because he's kind of a sacrificial lamb. But at the same time, this Alapex, between its harpoon launchers and its melee profile, I can send this guy pretty much unassisted at 125 points or so, and he can take on a 200-point unit of stuff and generally go even. You know, 8 wounds on a 4-up safe. That's great. That can keep a Marathi busy. That can just shoot off a couple wounds a turn with some turtle firepower. But that's fine, you know? And as a deployment trick, if you have like a magic combo you're trying to look out for, because pre-measuring is a huge thing in Age of Sigmar, you're trying to look to be outside of 30 inches, the traditional dispel range. There's some units like I think the Mirrormore Banshees where that's a little funky, but but standard, generally speaking, wizards need to be within 30 inches of their others there to try to stop them from casting a spell, which is why you see the Tidecaster back. Also, again, ignore the Lord of Storm and Sea. Arcane Corrasion is a spell that does more damage the farther away my wizard is from the nearest enemy unit. And if they're within a foot, she does 1 inch. If it's within 24 inches, 2 inches, up to 48 inches. It's one of the few spells in this whole game that I could do damage with on the first turn reliably. So I don't want her anywhere near them. I only have the one caster. It's a nice spell. More times than not, though, I'm probably just looking to do like a Mystic Shield somewhere. Maybe on this shark so it can actually go and live for a little bit. And again, seeing my opponent is hard on one side, I'm going after the weak side. I'm trying to go and take the advantage. If I see they're hard to one side, what I want to eventually do is mess up the middle board and screen for this big murder flock. Minus these birds. They're going to stay over here, hold the objective. But perfect scenario for me here is I move all this stuff, lose some thralls, lose a shark, Shelly goes to half health. That's fine. But then I am playing for 4 objectives. So when battle round 3 comes, because generally this will take a turn or 2 to set up, when they go to burn one of my objectives, or I just burn their last one, I'm holding 3 to 4 objectives. I will always be holding more. And if we're trading side objectives, that's fine. I still have enough stuff in the middle and over here to at least make it be worth a fight. And if they don't, you know what happens then to all their stuff that's over here? They're out of position to deal with me over here, and they have to come the long way across the board to try to meet me in the middle. I body block them with these eels and go on with my life. And there's another... Oh boy. Haha. Tricks that I know. You hit escape after you shake things up. We'll go back to the spot that you originally had them in. But now let's go for another Rocco's third style of deployment here. If I know my opponent, and I know them, of course, it's little Jimmy down the street. You know, it's my friend Agnes from the Netherlands. Sometimes, you know, whoever it is, might want to put all their stuff on one side, and I see there's an opening. I took a build that's very aggressive, very fast, whether it's Deepkin, Iron Jaws, whatever, where I see a chance where I can kill their Archeon. You know, I can see where they put their power. You know, because the third option here is first, it was the even deployment in the middle, all your threats in the middle to respond to either side, right? Then there's the you go for their weak flank. Well, just ignore all their stuff here because you'll just outmaneuver them and be fine. There's a third option, dear viewer, when you're thinking about this, dear student, where you see they have their own deployment over there, their own little Death Star, and you're like, all right, I can mess that up. They deployed a little weak. They did it backwards. The sharks are in front. You know, the hero's there. I could kill that. They took the turn. You give them the turn. They took it. And all they can do is move up a little bit to the middle. And you're like, oh, dude, you are so in range. You know, we get a nice move and a charge. My turtle kills 2 sharks. I shot this dude dead. And we just go on from there. So the third mythical idea is match your opponent's strength and where they deployed, because you can overpower it and just win the game right there. You can send your 1,700 points against their 15 to 1,700 points. You win the fight. You basically stat check them. We're like, okay, cool, great game. And that's pretty much it here. That's my three general ideas of what I'm trying to do with deployment, outside of being like cutesy, like with my first videos on this subject, where again, stage 1, option 1, deploy evenly, keep your threats in the middle of the board to respond to either side of the board you need them to go to. Option 2, you see your opponent is deploying very, very strongly to one side, you go to the other side. You don't need that fight. You've got speed, you've got whatever you brought, and you don't need it dying. So you're going to go and pick on their weaker units, and then win that whole side of the table, and your opponent is going to look so out of place. By the time they get to you, their units are going to be so spread out, you just pick them off one by one by one. You look like a smart general that brought some OP, junk. And they're going to be writing on a forum about you. Maybe on Facebook saying, oh my god, Soulblight Gravelords is just so hard, you guys. Or Night Haunt, oh my goodness, they just crushed me, I didn't know what to do. And then option 3, you take the fight to their strong stuff because you're like, listen, that is a Tzeentch Archeon. I see it. He probably should be 1,000 points, but he's like 880 or whatever. But you know what? I could kill him. And if I kill him, their whole list falls apart so quickly. I'm going to do it. And when that does work out, it's great. But that is, obviously, the riskier of the 3 deployment styles and options. I don't recommend it all the time. But my god, when it works and you you beat someone in a tournament for like the tournament win top of 1 because they goofed, they put all this stuff to one strong side. But again, like I showed you, it was backwards. Not that they know that it's backwards, but you, dear viewer, having come to class today, know it's backwards. And you're like, yep, I got this. And you just go and tear into them. It's such a good feeling. And with that, class, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. Like and subscribe to the video. And as I like to say at the end of all my videos, if you can hear over the fan I'm using to drown out my neighbors, class dismissed.